The moment my stepmother demanded I start paying rent to live in the house where I had spent my entire childhood, something inside me finally snapped. I stood there in the kitchen holding a wooden spoon, staring at the woman who had treated me like unpaid labor for over a decade, and realized the craziest part was not her audacity. The craziest part was that she had absolutely no idea the house legally belonged to me. By the end of that week, she, her freeloading children, and every fake designer bag they owned were being hauled out of my home under court order while I sat in the living room drinking coffee and watching karma finally do its job. My name is Lily, I'm 22 years old, and for most of my life I felt like a guest in my own home. My mom died from breast cancer when I was 8 years old, and that loss cracked my world straight down the middle. One day I had this warm, funny mother who danced while cooking dinner and kissed my forehead every night, and the next day I was sitting in a hospital hallway listening to adults cry behind closed doors. My father completely fell apart after she died. I do not even blame him for that part. He loved her deeply, and losing her destroyed something inside him. For almost a year he moved through life like a ghost. He barely slept, barely ate, and buried himself in work trying to distract himself from the grief. The people who truly held my life together during that time were my grandparents, my mom's parents. They were incredible people. My grandmother was the kind of woman who always smelled like vanilla and clean laundry, and my grandfather had this calm voice that made everything feel safe even when it was not. They moved into our huge four-bedroom house in one of the nicest neighborhoods outside Boston, so they could help raise me while my father struggled to recover. The house had actually belonged to them originally. They had bought it years earlier with the plan that our whole family would live together eventually. For a while, despite the grief hanging over us, it worked beautifully. Then my father met Vanessa. That is not her real name, but trust me, it fits her perfectly. My dad met her at a business conference in Chicago about 2 years after my mom died. He was there networking for his consulting company, and she was working as an event coordinator. According to him, they instantly connected. Looking back now, I think she saw a vulnerable widower with money and a giant house and recognized an opportunity. Within a few months, she packed up her life and moved across the country to be with him. 6 months later, they were married. She came with 2 kids. Her son Tyler was 11 at the time and already obnoxiously spoiled. Her daughter Madison was 7 and honestly pretty sweet at first. But over the years, she slowly became a smaller, meaner version of her mother. My grandparents tried hard to be welcoming because they loved my father and wanted him to be happy again. But I remember overhearing whispered conversations late at night after they thought I was asleep. My grandmother never trusted Vanessa. She said the woman's smile never reached her eyes. My grandfather agreed but told her to stay quiet because Dad finally looked alive again. At first, Vanessa kept her manipulation subtle. She criticized the furniture and called the house outdated even though it was beautiful. She complained about the kitchen and talked endlessly about renovations nobody asked for. She started moving things around without permission, replacing family photos with giant generic canvas prints from discount home stores. Then one day I noticed some of my mother's decorations were missing. Vanessa casually told me she donated them because they looked dusty and old-fashioned. I was 11 years old standing there trying not to cry while this woman erased pieces of my mom from the house. Then came the chores. At first it sounded reasonable. Everyone should help around the house. Except somehow everyone became me. Tyler was too busy with sports even though he was terrible at every single one. My father still paid for private coaching because Vanessa insisted he had talent. Madison was apparently too young to clean despite being only 1 year younger than me. By the time I turned 12, I was doing almost all the cooking, cleaning, dishes and laundry in the house. Vanessa would literally run her finger across shelves checking for dust like some evil hotel inspector. Meanwhile, Tyler's room smelled like dirty socks and old pizza boxes, and Madison left makeup and clothes scattered across every bathroom floor. I lived like that for years. What I did not know back then was that my grandparents saw exactly what was happening. They noticed how I was becoming the household servant while Vanessa and her children treated the home like a free luxury resort. Apparently, before my grandparents passed away in 2019, they quietly transferred ownership of the house into my name through some kind of protected trust. My father knew about it, but he never told me. He later claimed he did not think it mattered. That decision would eventually blow up his entire marriage. After my grandparents died, things got worse. Vanessa no longer had to pretend around them. She spent most days sitting on the couch watching reality TV while criticizing everyone else. Tyler graduated college somehow, though I still suspect my father pulled strings behind the scenes. After graduation, he moved right back home and announced he was pursuing a career as a content creator. In reality, he spent 18 hours a day screaming into a headset while streaming video games to maybe for viewers. Madison was supposedly studying business at college, but she mostly took staged photos for social media and maxed out my father's credit cards shopping online. Meanwhile, I was working part-time at a coffee shop, taking online college classes, cleaning the entire house, and trying to save money. Still, Vanessa constantly hinted that I was freeloading and needed to start contributing financially. Then came the dinner that changed everything. I had just finished an exhausting 8-hour shift dealing with rude customers and screaming children. I came home tired, hungry, and irritated, but instead of resting, I immediately started cooking dinner because nobody else in that house would lift a finger. I was standing in the kitchen making pasta when Vanessa walked in wearing one of her fake luxury dresses and sat at the kitchen island watching me like a judge preparing a sentence. She folded her hands and said we needed to discuss my living situation. I honestly thought she was joking at first. I had lived there longer than she had. But then she calmly explained that since I had a job now, it was time for me to start paying rent because it was unfair for me to live there for free while everyone else covered expenses. I remember staring at her in disbelief while Tyler yelled at his video game upstairs and Madison blasted social media videos from the living room. I asked whether they would also be paying rent. Vanessa immediately said that was different because her children were still building their futures. Tyler was pursuing content creation, and Madison needed support while focusing on school. I almost laughed in her face. Tyler spent his days making terrible dance videos and failing at streaming games online. Madison treated college like a photo backdrop for social media content. Neither of them contributed a single useful thing to the household. Yet somehow I was the one expected to pay. Then Vanessa dropped the number, $800 a month plus utilities, and she still expected me to continue cooking and cleaning. Something inside me broke right there in that kitchen. Years of resentment suddenly became crystal clear. Every passive-aggressive comment, every disgusting pile of Tyler's laundry I had been forced to wash. Every time Vanessa criticized my cooking while contributing nothing herself, I felt all of it rise at once. So I calmly turned off the stove, looked her dead in the eyes, and asked her to repeat herself. She launched into another speech about responsibility and adulthood while I stood there realizing I was done being treated like Cinderella in my own house. Then I asked everyone to come to the dining room because I wanted this conversation in front of the whole family. Tyler stomped downstairs annoyed about leaving his game. Madison wandered in scrolling through her phone without looking up. Vanessa sat proudly at the head of the table like she was hosting a board meeting. Then she repeated her rent proposal for everyone. Tyler smirked because he thought he was safe. Madison was half recording the conversation for social media, and that was the moment I changed all our lives. I leaned back in my chair and calmly said I would not be paying rent because the house belonged to me. Silence hit the room so hard it almost felt physical. Tyler froze with pasta hanging off his fork. Madison lowered her phone for the first time all evening. Vanessa just blinked at me with this completely blank expression like her brain could not process what she had heard. Then they all started laughing. Tyler thought I was making some dramatic joke. Madison actually snorted. Vanessa tried laughing too, but I could already see panic creeping into her eyes. She insisted the house belonged to her and my father, so I told her to call him. She immediately grabbed her phone and put him on speaker because she loved public humiliation when she thought she was winning. My father answered sounding exhausted, and Vanessa sweetly asked him to explain to me that the house belonged to them. The silence on the other end lasted several seconds. Then my father quietly admitted that my grandparents had legally transferred ownership of the property into my name before they died. Everything exploded. Vanessa's face drained of color so fast I genuinely thought she might faint. Tyler stopped laughing immediately. Madison looked horrified because for the first time in her life she realized the comfortable world she depended on was not guaranteed. Vanessa started screaming at my father through the phone asking why he never told her. My dad mumbled something about not thinking it mattered. That was when I finally smiled, because after years of being powerless, I suddenly realized I held every card. Vanessa quickly tried to backtrack. She started talking about misunderstandings and family unity and pretending the rent conversation never happened. but I was done pretending to. I looked directly at her and said if anyone should be discussing their living situation, it was her. The next morning things somehow got even worse. I overheard Vanessa on the phone trying to convince my father to pressure me into attending an out-of-state college so she could effectively remove me from my own house. She even claimed she was worried about my mental health because of all my anger. I recorded the conversation on my phone because by that point I trusted none of them. At breakfast, I casually announced that after thinking about rent, I agreed everyone living in the house should contribute financially. Vanessa looked relieved for about 3 seconds before I explained that based on local market rates, I expected $1,200 a month from each of them plus utilities. Chaos erupted instantly. Tyler nearly choked on cereal. Madison ruined her shirt, spilling avocado toast everywhere. Vanessa started shrieking that I could not charge family rent. That was when I played the recording of her plotting to push me out of the house. Her face turned white. She screamed about privacy and legality, but I calmly informed her we lived in a one-party consent state. I had already checked. For the first time in years, I watched genuine fear enter her eyes. She switched tactics and tried guilt. She talked about everything she had supposedly sacrificed for me. She claimed she raised me like her own daughter, even though most of my memories involve scrubbing floors while she watched television. Tyler started ranting about how he was about to become famous online and could not afford rent. Madison cried that Dad would never allow this. Then my father called, and shockingly, for once in his life, he sided with me. He told Vanessa that legally the house was mine and maybe they should start looking for another place to live. I will never forget the look on her face after hearing that. Pure terror. Then she made the mistake that truly sealed her fate. She got inches from my face and threatened me. She told me she would make my life miserable and that no spoiled brat was going to force her out. What she did not know was that I had already consulted a lawyer. Within days, I officially served all 3 of them eviction papers. Watching them get handed those documents was one of the most surreal moments of my life. Tyler threw a full tantrum and smashed his gaming chair down the stairs. Madison cried on social media for sympathy and accidentally exposed herself to half her college friends. Vanessa called every lawyer she could find trying to fight the eviction, but apparently the paperwork my grandparents arranged was airtight. Nobody would take her case. Then she tried playing the victim online. She posted dramatic messages about her cruel and ungrateful stepdaughter making the family homeless. Unfortunately for her, several people who knew the truth started responding publicly. One of my mom's old friends posted stories about how Vanessa treated me over the years and even shared screenshots of nasty messages Vanessa had sent in the past. Watching the comments turn against her was honestly incredible. Meanwhile, reality finally hit Tyler and Madison. Tyler realized being a failed streamer with 200 followers was not a career path. Madison discovered social media popularity disappears quickly when people stop envying your lifestyle. Then Vanessa made one final desperate move. While I was at work, she tried stealing some of my mother's jewelry that my grandparents left for me. What she did not know was that after serving the eviction papers, I installed security cameras throughout the house. I caught everything on video. I came home to footage of her stuffing antique necklaces into her purse like some bargain bin criminal. I called the police immediately and filed a report. Watching her attempt fake tears in front of the officers while claiming it was all a misunderstanding almost made me laugh. The officer was not buying it for a second. That incident completely destroyed whatever sympathy my father still had for her. He moved into a hotel shortly afterward. The final eviction day felt like the ending of a movie. Vanessa tried making this dramatic speech about choosing to leave because the house had become toxic. She walked around wearing a fake designer suit pretending this was all her decision. Then the movers I hired showed up in the middle of her performance. The timing could not have been more perfect. The movers started packing everything immediately while Vanessa completely melted down. She screamed about needing more time. Tyler panicked trying to unplug gaming equipment. Madison cried because her carefully curated social media life was collapsing in real time. And the funniest part, half of Vanessa's designer items turned out to be counterfeit when the movers handled them. Tags peeled off bags, cheap stitching came apart. It was honestly embarrassing. They even tried sneaking out with random household items on the way out. Towels, kitchen appliances, decorative bowls that belonged to my grandmother. Thankfully, the sheriff overseeing the process shut that nonsense down fast. By sunset, the house was finally quiet. No screaming games upstairs. No passive-aggressive comments about dishes. No fake perfume smell lingering through every hallway. Just silence, beautiful silence. Tyler eventually got a job at a game store. Madison bounced between friends before moving in with relatives. Vanessa ended up staying with her sister, who quickly started complaining online about rude house guests who never cleaned up after themselves. Funny how life works. As for my father, our relationship is complicated now. He still calls occasionally, and honestly he sounds exhausted all the time. I think reality finally hit him. He spent years ignoring what was happening because facing the truth would have forced him to admit he married someone manipulative and selfish. But despite everything, my life became peaceful again. I turned Tyler's old room into a home office. Madison's room became my dream closet. The little meditation room where Vanessa used to sit watching reality television became my yoga studio. For the first time since childhood, the house actually felt like home again. The best part came a few months later when my mother's best friend moved into one of the spare bedrooms. She helped me restore pieces of my mom that had disappeared over the years. We cooked old family recipes together and replaced decorations Vanessa threw away. Slowly, the house started feeling warm again instead of tense. Sometimes I walk through the hallway late at night and think about my grandparents. They knew exactly what they were doing when they protected me. They saw the future before I ever could. People ask if I feel guilty for evicting them. Honestly, no. For years they treated me like a servant while living comfortably off a home that was never theirs. They mocked me, manipulated me, and tried to push me out of my own life the second they thought they could profit from it. All I did was finally stop letting them win. And if there is one thing I learned through all of this, it is that karma does not care how fake your designer bags are or how convincing your victim act sounds online. Eventually the truth catches up to everyone, even people who thought they